Okay, here we are again. We've got another exciting webinar, and today we have a special guest. Stacey Lapuk of Stacey Lapuk Interiors is with us, and she operates primarily in the wine country out of, well, just north of San Francisco, and actually all over the place. You've been doing this for what, 38 years now?
Yes,
That's awesome.
that's a
And
long
you've
time.
you've been all over. You've done New York. I mean, are you international as well?
Not yet, but if
Okay,
somebody in France is interested, I'd be happy to go back.
there you go. Good. Well, I'm excited because when I found you on LinkedIn, gosh, it's probably been a year or two now at least. I saw your background and how involved you were with well-being, biophilic design, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, but that's what really excited me, and I think that that's where our industry is headed with regards to human-centric practices, and you're already doing them, so that's great. And I know Ellie, we're trying to promote a lot of that as well. So why don't you tell us, Stacey, a little bit about your background, how you got started, and how you ended up in interior design?
Wow. Well,
Well,
I um, I went to school in fine arts. I have a degree in fine arts first, and I didn't know what to do. And I started doing interior design, really just loving art and design. I went back to school at UC Berkeley in their interior design, interior architecture program. And I just started my business. I really didn't know, I didn't know enough not to do it. And I did. I just started getting clients and kept, learning and practicing, and that's how I got to this. And then about 15 years ago, I guess, um, I was taking courses and I saw something that said biophilic design. And it's like, oh, what's that? And I got into it, and it's just amazing. When I say we design happiness, we really do. And I can guarantee it because
that's
of
great.
using these principles. Yeah.
Sure. Well, while we're on that, let's go ahead and why don't you tell us what is biophilic design? How does it apply to neuroaesthetics, and that whole aspect of science, if you will,
Mhm.
with what we're doing?
Yeah, it's a branch of neuroaesthetics. Neuroaesthetics is about beauty in the brain, right? What our brain, now we could read what our brain releases, what kind of hormones, what happens physiologically with our bodies when we experience different things. And they determined there are certain things, certain principles, patterns, and systems found in nature. And when you incorporate those into the built environment, into your home, into landscape design, into, whatever, it's been measurably proven to do things like lower cortisol levels and help with creativity and ADHD and regulate your heart rate and lower your blood pressure and
Sure.
help with productivity, all these wonderful things. So that is biophilic design. It's the art of utilizing these patterns in nature in your interiors for your health and well-being and happiness.
That's great. So then that would apply also, obviously, to if you're working on the interior, then utilizing or expanding your space into the exterior where we work primarily. Is there, I mean, how does that work for you and your team? You know, do you try to utilize or do more exterior spaces because of that?
Well, I've always loved doing exterior spaces just because I personally love being outdoors. I
Mm.
hike every day, I ride horses, I just love the outdoors. So, ways we can utilize or work together with landscape designers is
Sure.
we're an extension of what's going on outside, right? So I try to, depending on where the house is, where I am here, and most of my clients have some sort of view. So if we can help mitigate the distinction between indoors and outdoors through the use of design, that expands the space into the landscape, and it just makes for a happier existence. And then, of course, designing, rooms outdoors. We can do that so people can enjoy, the entirety of their property. And
Sure.
by utilizing some of the patterns found in nature, certain fractal geometries, sounds, all sorts of different, different principles, we can then work the other way. So you feel more like you're outdoors, or physiologically you feel, could be subconscious, that you are getting the benefits of being outdoors while you're inside.
Oh, that's great. Good.
Yeah.
Now, do you work primarily by yourself as an independent, or do you find yourself more on professional teams where you have an architect or landscape architect, other designers in place? I mean, how do you typically work?
It all depends on the project and the client. Ideally, I'm working with the architect and the general contractor, his subs, the landscape architect, a lighting designer, and myself and my team.
Hmm. Great.
Yeah, those are the most fun because we get to play, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, how about any suggestions for guys or gals in landscape lighting, our field, and what we could do to, I guess, better work with interior designers like yourself?
I think just like we use lighting indoors, where we have different levels of light, they are different purposes. Um, we would do the same. I like to see the same thing outdoors, right?
Hmm.
Outdoors, you would need to light a path. So you're directing people a certain way. So you could use lighting really well outdoors to help direct you, right?
Sure.
Inside, there are other kind of ways we use to move people through spaces.
Hmm.
So that's one thing. The other is if we've got outdoor rooms, we can light those rooms like you would light a regular room, right? You
Hmm.
might have an accent light on something, maybe a piece of sculpture that's outside or a particular planting.
Sure.
There might be lighting next to an outdoor sofa so that if you're outside, you can access that. And then just using lights to move you through the space, all three-dimensionally. So it's not
Sure.
just down a path, but you're also looking up and around and, you're guiding people's interests. And then having them, when they get to a spot where they're seated or they're in front of a fireplace or, whatever it is outdoors, they feel like they are in a refuge, right?
Sure.
Safe. Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Hmm.
Well, let's take a look at some of your photos. I had collected some before we started, and maybe you can walk us through each one and tell us your feelings on how you approached the design and why you did what you did, and then show us some of these biophilic references.
Sure.
Okay, great.
Okay.
You see that first one?
Yep, I can see that. So
Okay,
this
very good.
this was a designer showcase room, and this actually won a national design award. What happened in this room is, again, we want to think about ways to bring nature into what we're looking at. And one of the categories of biophilic design is called natural analogs, which basically is what can you do that will mimic nature. So having a rug that has a floral pattern in it, that's mimicking nature, right? Adding the detail to the sheer windows, the sheer draperies on the windows
Yeah,
that look like little floral pieces and pieces of leaves, that makes you think of nature. And then looking out through those shears, which you can't see in this photograph, there's an incredible garden out there. So that sort of drives you to see the garden out there.
right.
Mirror emulates a sun, right? Having actual orchids, that's nature in the space. We're
Yeah,
bringing in actual materials such as wood and organic cottons and linens. And I think this room had some raffia in it. Those are all natural elements, along with the flowers and the orchids, that help us feel connected to our environment.
sure, sure. And I like how, again, the color selection too,
being some of the greens that are in there, more nature.
Mhm.
And then the light from the window, natural light, sunlight. Yeah.
Yep, natural light is really important. As well, the alabaster in that lamp, there's an up lamp sort of
Oh yeah.
by the
Yeah.
sun.
Right
That's
here.
stone, so that's another natural material.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and then slate top in the table.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
That's
it's not difficult to do, but you just want to be mindful of it. And
sure.
of course, it all has to be balanced.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Wonderful. Here's
Yeah.
another one.
So this was another showcase house. I love doing showcase houses because you could really go to town, right?
Sure.
This also won a National Design Award. And here, there's so much. So is it possible to see the entire slide or is this just where,
That was as much as that
okay.
came to me.
That's
So,
okay. So repetitive patterns, fractal geometries are very important in biophilia. There's no such thing as a straight line in nature, right? So
mhm.
Euclidean geometry is not going to help you. Fractal geometry is like if you take a mirror and you see an image in the mirror and then you break the mirror, knock on wood, it's not bad luck. Each little piece is still going to be the whole. It's still going to show you the whole. And in
Right.
nature, you could see that in leaves on a plant, right? They're all different, but they're all the same at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having repetitive patterns in a space makes you feel good. In this case, one of the repetitive patterns is ridges. So we've got ridges in the light fixture, the design of the light fixture. There are ridges in the lamp on the side table. The side table itself, you can't really see, but that has ridges. The way the bolsters are positioned, those create ridges. The bed, you can't see the bottom of the bed, but the bed legs have ridges. They're the way that they're carved. And even the Buddha, the half Buddha stone piece, that's the fountain in back. There's
Uh-huh.
another one that's the other side of the face on the other side of that window sill, window
Oh, okay.
seat. That has ridges behind the Buddha. So you've got this repetitive pattern. You don't walk in and say, "Oh, look at all the ridges," right? You just feel good.
Right.
It's pretty interesting. And then even the way that the artwork behind the sculpture behind the bed, those are purple plum branches that are made into this relief. That's
Oh,
really
wow.
cool. It plays with light and shadow. So light
Yeah,
and shadow is another pattern in biophilia. Um,
sure.
Using shears on your drapery so that you get the movement of the light and shadow is a pattern. And water, hearing something natural and then wondering where is it coming from. That wonder is a pattern. And the Buddha sculptures actually are water fountains that has water coming down the faces
Oh,
of
nice.
the bronze bases.
Wow.
Mm, Yeah, so
They're playing on the senses quite a bit, which is nice.
yep, it's all about the senses. The three categories of biophilia is our natural analogs, so things that look like nature.
Mm-hmm.
Nature in the space, so that's bringing in live plants, using woods and natural fabrics, organic elements. Those are all nature in the space. And nature of the space, that's your experience of the space. Um, Awe is a recent addition to the
Right.
principles. It used to be 14, now there are 15. So
Wow.
having a moment that is like, oh, like a gorgeous painting, or you turn around a corner and you see a beautiful vignette of something or view, those are all elements of biophilic design.
Nice. Yeah, it's kind of it's part of like surprise and emotion,
Mm-hmm.
awe and surprise, when you
Yeah.
capture these things. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, very much so.
Wow.
Another repetitive pattern that's in here is you can barely see it, but the bedspread is made from, and that back bolster is made from a company called Fortuny. They use hand blocked prints that they've been using for over 200 years with this
Wow.
amazing uh, ink that has a little bit of a metallic to it. But by taking that pattern, and then I repeated the pattern of the design on that panel, there are two of them, the green panels in the back. So that connects you back to the windowsill and that green draws you to it. And then that pattern is also repeated in the design around in the ceiling above the light fixture.
Oh, wow.
So, again, you don't walk in and say, oh, look at, all the, the things.
Yeah.
It just feels right.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's one of the principles I was telling you about with composition and under unity. And it talks about simplicity, not having too much diversity where it all makes sense and it feels good. So it's all tied
Mhm.
into that same concept. I love it.
Yeah, there's a reason for
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, very good. All right.
Right.
Here's another one.
Oh, this was just recently shot. That chandelier is, this photo really doesn't show it. It's
Well,
gold
the
plated
next photo
and
has a
steel.
close-up of it, which is
Does it?
cool.
It's
Yeah.
just gorgeous. And then the play of light and shadow on the ceiling and on the
Yep.
walls is just spectacular. Those draperies the fabric there is the same, from the same company, Fortuny. I just love them. And it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous fabric. So that has that little metallic kind of sheen, which speaks to the chandelier.
Wow.
The twist of the legs of the chairs,
Uh-huh.
that draws your eye up to the fabric. The leather on the chairs is actually a stamped snakeskin pattern in the leather, which just,
Wow.
it just pops. And then,
Yeah.
again, moving your eye around using light, right? You see the chandelier and then you see the sconces, and then the round table draws you around and back to this the shape that's happening in the chair legs.
Sure.
So
Wow. Very nice.
yeah.
Let me show you the close-up. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
spectacular.
Right?
Love it.
That's just, it's just spectacular. The client wanted a wow moment,
Yeah.
that's the wow moment. And the Renoir in the background, by the way. But
Wow. Yeah.
yeah.
So you say Fortuny, is that the company? They did the
Yeah,
light
Fortuny,
fixture
it's
too?
it's out of Venice, Italy,
Oh, wow.
and their fabrics are just spectacular. The
Wow.
company themselves are just the nicest, greatest people, and work ethics and integrity and all of that. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's good.
yeah,
Very cool.
yeah.
Okay, here's another one.
Yep. Well, that just sort of shows a larger um, view of this room. Those draperies as well are Fortuny. Love
Hmm.
Fortuny. But here the artwork
Yeah,
is what draws your attention, right? And the one over the fireplace has the impression of trees, right? So it's bringing nature in, using natural woods, bringing in plants and flowers, the organic tusks in the back, those sculptures in the back flanking the fireplace.
sure.
That's a natural element. And, of course, leather, wood, silk, that all just makes it feel good.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's great.
And then even the chandelier, it's sort of like a flower, right? What are those
Yeah,
called? Trumpet
yeah, like a
flowers or
like a
something?
trumpet vine or whatever, like the
Yeah,
the
exactly.
tubular, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. This
Another
is
one?
interesting. So this was a flat in Coal Valley in the city, and it was a fairly small space, and the client loves dinner parties. So her primary room we made into a great dining room. But when you first walk in, because it was a small space, we wanted to give the illusion that it went on further. And using art to, especially of landscapes that have like a meandering path.
Mm-hmm.
So you get mystery, which is another pattern, what's down the path. And it helps push back that wall so the space feels larger. The round chandelier, that pendant,
Yeah,
mimics the round shape of the table below. So you're connecting that. And that's, feels like you're outside. Everything is connected to one another. And we have a live plant, of course. And then in the right above the chair rail at the very top of the walls, I
mm-hmm.
installed a wall covering that has very organic motif. So it kind of looks like trees. And when you're in the room, it gives the illusion that you're sort of surrounded by trees and you're in a forest,
Wow.
right? You don't,
Yeah.
consciously saying, oh, look at that. I feel like I'm in a forest, but it just feels right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I love how you keep saying feels because we talk about that as well. I call it affect or effect,
Mm-hmm.
the experience of feeling, which it's all tied into emotion. And like within the
Yeah.
space, it's the same concept. So that's awesome because I try to get guys, well, people in our industry
Yeah.
to focus on the lighting design and to create these experiences and
Right.
I'll tie it all back to emotion. Is it a happy, joyful experience? Is it something of interest where you're going to pause and you're going to try to it's
Figure
thought
it.
provoking, intriguing, shadow play, all the different, there's different categories that you can look at.
Right.
Fear even is an interesting one. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing before you move from the slide, I don't know if you have another of this space, but that painting in the back to
uh-huh.
the left, those little dots that you see, that's actually gold foil.
Oh, wow.
So it's gold. So, and there's a skylight there. So when the sun comes through the skylight, it reflects off the little,
Oh, that's
gold
great.
leaf in the painting. And again, there's a path that takes you down, so you get that sense of mystery and elongating the space. And then you've
Sure.
got the trees in the painting. So you've got the trees starting, and then your eye goes up the trees, and then you see you catch the tree motif in the wall covering, and yeah, it all comes back around.
Yeah, that's really cool. Does
Yeah,
it do the same type of thing with the light? The let's say at nighttime you have those lights that are above the paintings. Does that pick up some of that
it
reflectivity?
does. Yeah, it's gold leaf,
Oh yeah.
right? So
Okay.
yeah, so it'll
That's
do that.
very nice.
The thing is one thing that I discovered and I really try to emphasize is that our concept of beauty, whether it's, working outside or nature is like the greatest example of what
Mhm.
beauty is, that's a need for us, right? It's not sort
Right.
of, oh, it's nice, it's beautiful. We need things to be beautiful. And
I
all
agree.
these things that we play with, you with your lighting design
Hmm.
outside, we're creating moments of beauty, right? And immersions in beauty.
Right.
And that's what feeds us. That's what makes us feel alive.
I agree. No, because if you think about it, I've been talking about this quite a bit as well, is that if you most landscapes, when people are using or building their landscapes out, there's two reasons usually or needs, as you said. One's for like activities, socializing, gatherings, things like that. And then the other one is rejuvenation, relaxation, peace, quiet. Because after a full day, you're working all day, you're stressed. Maybe it's the kids, maybe it's bills, whatever it is, you need that rejuvenated space to go to
Yeah,
unwind and get ready for the next day, so it's a good
completely.
example. Yeah.
Yeah. And they act as
Awesome.
an anchor for you, right? This is where you could stop and, like you said, rejuvenate. And then from
Yeah.
that space, you can go out and
Right.
and be your best selves, right? As you're living life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right, let's go. Here's another one.
That's another view of this same project. So you
Oh,
can
okay.
see how the greenery and the wall covering around the
Yep.
top. And
Yep.
then you can also see how we're connecting with the exterior, right? It's in the
Mhm.
city, but even the lineup of the way the orchids are on the table, that draws you right out into the garden.
Right.
The
Absolutely.
the plates have they're hand painted uh, drawings of leaves and trees. The fabric on the chairs is a floral. The cane on the back of the chairs gives you that sense of translucency,
Yeah.
right? Like the light and shadow and what's happening
Sure.
back there. So a little bit of mystery, which is a pattern. Um,
Wow.
yeah, it's all, ties together. The chairs are a wood, the table is a wood top with a metal
Mhm.
banding around it, which are all natural materials. Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
No, I love it. It is amazing how much, all this is tied together. We're in different realms, different professions, but we're all coming to these conclusions. We're seeing these benefits through
Mhm.
nature, like you said, and how this can impact our lives on a human-centric level,
Yeah.
where we're helping people now with
Yeah.
purpose. So,
And paying attention, one other thing I wanted to bring up is that if anybody is thinking about, well, I don't know what colors go together, I don't know what I should do for color, look to nature. So in this case, it's green and purple. If those purple napkins weren't there, and let's say they were green or
mhm,
tan or whatever, it would just flatten, right? The whole space would just kind of flatten. But the
right.
purple draws your attention because of the type of color it is. And then it also connects you to the orchids, the purple and the orchids, which draws you down, down the table to the view
Oh, that's
right. So
great.
it's all intertwined. It's all little things to pay attention to.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love it. And I think this is the last one that you had sent.
Okay.
So I thought
This
this was
was
pretty cool.
spectacular. So, I think I told you the name of the artist. I forgot his name, but I went to the design and art show at Fort Mason a few weeks ago, and this was out of a gallery in London. And what he does, so it's all hand carved, but what he does is he uses a computer to mimic the growth of from a seedling into an organic structure. So he
Wow.
starts with a design that he considers his seedling, and he feeds that into the computer. And the computer, based on how nature grows things, creates the design, and then he carves it. So it's
Wow.
all, and that's actually a stool. You could sit on it,
Yeah, I was
right?
gonna say it looks like a little chair, like a stool.
Yep, it's a little stool. He can make table bases. He can make, consoles, all these just spectacular things. And it is done in a few pieces, and then he connects them together, right? So
Sure.
so it's all one as he's carving it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all a replication of how a seedling evolves,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, that's
It's
very cool.
walnut wood. Yeah.
Oh. So you're not gonna find something like that at Home Goods.
No,
No.
that's why if you want things that, it's kind of a sad fact, but the
Yeah,
more of an investment you can make, the more of the maker's hand you're going to see. And the
sure.
more of a maker's hand you see, the more connected you are to yourself and to the environment and to nature. So handmade things take time, and then that turns into, money. But if you have a certain budget and you want to create something, we can work around whatever that budget is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It may not be
Yeah.
as, like this. This stool is about $22,000.
Yeah.
But let's say you have, 5,000 and you want something really cool. Well, maybe we could create a bowl, or we could create, there's always something that you could do.
Yeah.
And that's where somebody like you or I, we have the resources, and then we know the people, and we know where to go to get things done, or things that exist, but maybe we can customize them, uh,
Sure.
to make it really special and unique
Yeah.
to you. Yeah, it's
Right.
your story, right? It's your home.
Yeah.
And it's not going to look like, oh, that's something Stacey Lapuk did, or that's
Yeah.
something Carlson did. It's just
Right.
design. Yeah,
Sure. Sure.
yeah.
How much do you tie in? Well, I mean, I'm sure you do, but uh like when you first initially meet with a client and you spend time with them and you learn about them, their personality, their characteristics, what's important and meaningful to them. How much do you tie in like artwork or pieces of them into your designs?
100%.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
that's
their
great.
home,
Yes.
right? So one of the things that we do review is, what do you have that you want to keep? What's
Mhm.
important to you? Why is it important? Right? And it's particularly if they have artwork or an area rug or something, those are great elements from which to pull a design.
Mhm.
And then there's a lot of input. I've got a pretty comprehensive questionnaire. We look at images. There's a lot of input, just like I'm sure you go through,
Sure, sure.
to really understand what their functional requirements are, right? How they're going to use the
Right.
space, what their style is, how they want to feel, what they need to feel, and what the
Right.
architecture tells us,
Right.
both interior and exterior. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy it when customers have different pieces of art, garden art out in the landscapes. And then
Mm.
you like you say, you create these little pockets, niches where maybe you don't see it until you're wandering through the garden, and that pops up, that
Oh,
surprise element, which
you
is
get
fun.
these moments, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Oh, that's great.
yeah.
Let me go ahead and stop sharing this, and then there we go. Now we're both back.
All right.
Um, so I know one of the things that I wanted to ask you towards maybe your opinions toward how guys or people like us in landscape lighting can enhance these experiences or create atmosphere. How about that? In exterior spaces, what should we try to do or consider doing? If we don't have somebody like you that's involved on the team and to make spaces that are going to fit in better with the interior.
Yeah, I think ask the client lots of questions. How do you want to feel? They're not going to know. So then you have to
Yeah,
ask more questions, right?
right.
What do you do outside? I don't know. I hang out. Do you barbecue? Do you want a kid? Do you cook? Do you like to entertain? What kinds of kids and pets do you have? Do we need to make sure that, when do you use the space? So is lighting and just, basic lighting design, right? Is it functional? Do you want to make sure you don't trip over something?
Mhm.
Want to create a moment, like really cool reflections or shadows from a tree? Do you want to create, exterior rooms? And then those rooms have different levels of lighting, just like on an interior, you have different levels of lighting. So I think it's just asking a lot of questions and showing them, because a lot of people don't know the language and they don't know, a lot of times they don't know what's possible, right?
Sure.
Showing them possibilities, showing them images. Do you like this and why? No, I hate that. That's too much. Well, what's too much? What do you like about it? And
Right.
it's up to you. Just tell them, what do you like? What do you don't like? And then it's up to you and I to find the common thread through all these images that they say they like, and 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 create an environment then that reflects all of that. And sometimes it's taking them a little bit out of their comfort zone because they didn't know. So I don't know, like in an exterior space, maybe, oh, we don't have kids, we don't need any, like hanging chairs or anything. But
Hmm.
man, you put in something really cool, you know,
Yeah.
they're gonna sit there with a glass of wine and just
Sure.
have a
Sure.
ball. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they don't know. And if they entertain or they think, this happens on the interiors a lot as well. I don't know if it happens so much outside. I guess it does. But people put together playgrounds. The kids are going to be over there playing in the playground.
Right.
And this is the adult space. You're going to be here. Kids are going to be where you are, depending on their age, right? So you
Right.
always have to make sure, even if this is the adult space, that it has something there for the kids, because otherwise they're just going to, get in your face while you're having to try,
Right.
have a
Right.
conversation or something.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it like that. That is. I like that.
Yeah, it's like homes people have, they want play. Oh, we're gonna have a great playroom and we're gonna have everything there. And we're gonna put in climbing wall and this and that. And I'm looking at them, the playroom they want is like down the hall to the left.
Yeah.
You're in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
The kids are gonna be in the kitchen
Right.
or in the great room, wherever it's connected. So yeah, it's sort of being realistic about how a space is being used. If you have an animal, if you have a dog, you need a place for them to relieve themselves. or you
Sure.
need to be aware that this is going to be happening, or whatever, your
Yeah.
husband likes to play golf, so he needs a putting green, otherwise your grass is going to get torn up,
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
You know, I want to go back to when you talked about color. I mean,
Mhm.
this is kind of a big topic right now in my industry. There's all this new, the holiday lighting's really blown up, and then now that's permanent holiday lighting, people are putting all this stuff on their house, and so you're getting these glows of color. Do you have any well, what's your take on all that? Because color is very impactful. So I'm just kind of curious to see what your thoughts are.
Yeah, color is the first thing that you notice.
Hmm.
Um, it depends on the client, if they're extroverts and they want to, hey, this is us
Yeah.
kind of thing, and they want to play it up, as long as the color, like anything else, is balanced. Maybe you have a dominant color and then you have accents around it. Um, it could be really nice, or the color could lead you to the front door.
Hmm.
Maybe I have some clients who have these globes that hang from trees, you know,
Yeah.
and they're different colors, but
Right.
we have them so that it'll help you down the path to the front door, right?
Right. Lead
Where
you
do you
to
want
the
your attention to
destination.
go?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, that's interesting.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just curious because I know, there's a lot of some either love it, some hate it, or you just, yeah, it's a personal taste thing, but
Yeah.
I'm just wondering the impact that it's going to cause on, I guess, the whole. You've got surrounding neighbors, you've got
Yeah.
ordinances, you've got all these issues that or I think are going to come into play down the road that maybe people haven't thought about. But
Yeah, you have to think about that.
yeah,
And if it's lit at night
yeah,
and inside, you're going to get a reflection of, let's say you have a big red globe out the window, that's going to change the color of your green carpet or
oh
whatever,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So you definitely want to pay attention to how it's going to affect the lighting inside as well, and how the lighting inside is going to affect the exterior,
right.
right?
That's a
So,
great point. Okay,
yeah.
good. Um, how about what problems do you see, I guess, with people in our trade are in outdoor landscape lighting, landscape environments in general, anything associated, something that maybe we can learn from that we can maybe try to do better. What do you think if there's anything that's lacking? What would you think?
I think, I think paying attention to, which I'm sure you do, to the temperature of the light,
Yeah,
right? If it's cold and, it's just not comfortable.
yeah,
Um, and talk to the, just, I think communication with the homeowner, or if there's a designer on the project, is really important, so that you can create a synergistic whole, right? You're not indoors and then you're outdoors, right? It's
right.
one
And it
element.
transitions. Yeah,
Yeah, and they have a conversation with each other. I think, if somebody likes a lot of color, maybe you have a spot in the landscape that's the playroom, and it has a lot of
yeah,
color or something.
right.
Um, yeah, so I don't know what's lacking really. It's just,
How about maybe I should, how do you feel education is in general towards our trade or our trades?
I think because technology is moving so fast, trying to keep up or being associated with people who do keep up,
Yeah.
right, is important. There's, as an example, I'm not sure how it would relate to you. Well, it might, because it reflects light. There's a new paint that's on the market that
Oh,
doesn't use latex. So rather than enveloping your home in plastic, basically, right? It doesn't breathe, it,
right.
creates mold and all these things. This new paint is made from a clear crystal quartz.
Oh,
It's the
wow.
binder. and it
Haven't heard of
uses
that.
natural minerals and pigments.
Yeah.
And it just is, and it breathes, right? So it's, antifungal and antimicrobial and, like all these great, and the pH is balanced such that a gallon of the paint, I just learned this, which is why I'm kind of crazy
Okay.
about it, but a gallon of the paint absorbs the amount of carbon dioxide that 9 trees do.
Wow.
And then one other fun fact,
Yeah.
90% of the microplastics in the ocean come
Mhm.
from architectural paint.
Wow.
So
90%?
90%.
Wow.
So this company, it's called Alchemis, Alkemis,
Okay.
has this paint. It's just, I'm just blown away by it. So, but it's a
Yeah.
technology, right? Um, lighting their, getting the
I
light
wonder how
a lot
light
warmer would be
reflects or
nice.
absorbs off of that material. I mean, that would be
I'm sorry?
interesting. I wonder how light absorbs or reflects off of that type
It
of
reflects.
material. Yeah,
Yeah, especially if it's on a flat surface, right?
sure.
Smooth. Um, yeah, it just because it's stone,
Yeah,
right? Would you rather surround yourself with stone or with plastic?
right.
Right? I'm just writing an article about it right now too.
Oh, good. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Um, and then yeah, learning about how we can warm up light, warm up artificial light, I think is super important now that we can't use incandescent uh,
Right. Yep.
lamping
And a
anymore.
lot of people are keep shifting to cooler and cooler temperatures, it seems. That seems to be a big push, but I think there'll be some pushback on that because a lot of the dark sky people and others are talking about using warmer colored light, especially at night with the eyes
Yeah.
and serotonin production, melatonin, that whole deal. So I think there's going to probably be more of a push towards that warmer.
I wonder if the cooler lights is a reflection of sort of the idea of modern design and very
Yeah,
contemporary and clean and,
right.
it's a colder type of design.
Sure.
If you push it out that way, I like to mitigate it with using warmer lights and textures and things like
Right.
that, still get something contemporary. But
Right.
things are moving a lot softer. Gray is losing its appeal. People
No.
are being more aware of their environment and of more natural colors and warmer tones and browns and, those types of colors that work much more happily with warmer
Yeah.
light, right?
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I know it's interesting, like in private spaces and calm gardens, serenity gardens, things like that. The warmer the white, the light, so like flame, using a lot of
Yeah.
candles, things like that, that produces that more calming, pleasing environment,
Yeah.
which is good.
It definitely, think about the energy that goes into things. So a cooler light is like, it's like this. And
Mhm.
then reds are like this,
Oh, yeah,
right? And it's just, it's all electricity. It's all the resonance and vibrations. It's a
yeah,
real thing.
sure,
So yeah, you need to balance it. You don't want it too soft and if everything is too soft, it's just going to feel
right,
bland, like that room. If I didn't have the purple napkins, having the purple napkins, it just popped the resonance
right,
and resonance. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So that it felt good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, very interesting. I love this. I mean, when I start digging deeper and design concepts and emotion, I mean, that's what it inspired me to get involved with this whole LA project. Because I do think that this is the future where everybody's going in architecture and design is, circling back to the whole, human centric. Everything's, focused on how well-being and health. So
Yeah.
why not take advantage of that? So
Exactly. We all want to feel good, you know, we want it to
Yeah,
look nice, but by looking nice, it affects how we feel. So, yeah.
sure. Well, one last question for you. I'd like your take. What would you suggest for working with other professionals on a team, design team, if you will, architects and general contractors, lighting guy, whatever it is.
Hmm.
How would you how would you like to see something like that? Or what's the best way to work together? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Early.
Early on. Okay.
Yeah, the sooner you can get in a project, particularly if it's a new build or a major renovation, with the whole team,
Hmm.
the better, the more choice the client is going to have, the more cost effective in the long run it's going to be for the client. And the more fun it'll be because you get to bounce ideas off of people who are specialists in things that you don't know about. I'm
Sure.
very good. My dad was a structural engineer. I'm really good at knowing what I don't know, right? Don't take the wall down. The whole thing is,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the sooner we can pull a team together and determine who's responsible for what. So the client isn't paying double for the same thing, right?
Sure.
Um, but playing off of one another. And then by working together, we know logistically what's going to be where, when, so that you have all the materials you need, right, when you're ready to install them. And if you're working with a landscape architect and he's going to have a lot of construction going on or whatever, right? We need to know the lighting design, right? Just like on the interior. So we know where to put what, so we can accommodate
Yeah.
all of that. You need the AV person up front so that you know where the sound is going to be coming out of, because that's closely connected to the
Sure.
lighting design, which is going to be connected to the timers and the controls and, the whole
Sure.
9 yards.
Yeah.
It's all
The
connected.
system. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a system. And when I'm looking at fabrics, for example, I want to know what plants you're going to have, right? How we can create something so that the colors are going to work together and the shapes and the proportions and the scale is all going to work. So, yeah, the sooner a client puts a team together, the better. And whether or not, it doesn't mean that we're going to be working, right away all the time.
Sure.
But when those questions come up or those ideas come up, we can bounce, we have a reality check, right?
Hmm.
So we don't go down a rabbit hole that's not going to work when you
Right.
finally get around to talking to the other people on the team.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah,
No, that's great.
that's
Well,
my two
I
cents.
appreciate it. And I think, how can people get in touch with you if they would like to either hire you or to find out more about what you're doing and this whole concept?
Yeah.
How's best to reach you?
Okay. The best thing is to call or email me.
Okay.
And I have complimentary initial design discovery calls.
Okay.
So there's no charge. We can get on a Zoom call and just hear what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And I can help you sort of get your ducks in a row to know what to address when. I can work on, an hourly basis, on a group of hours to consult, or we can work on a design
Hmm.
process. And I have a 7-step design process that I take my clients through from beginning concept design and initial intake all the way through installation and punch lists.
Great.
So it's very clear. I have a newsletter.
Oh,
Goes out once a month.
mhm.
And I'm going to have an article, for example, now I'm going to have an article on this, do you want, stone or plastic to live in,
Yeah.
about paint? But all things biophilic and design oriented. On my website, you can sign up for the newsletter. And I was going to say one more thing. What was I going to say? I don't remember. Just call. I love
Okay.
design. I love people and making people happy. And they say we're pretty good at what we do. So
That's good.
there you go.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure, and I'm really glad we had this opportunity. I followed you for a while now on LinkedIn, and that's where I first found you. And I thought, man, I've got to reach out. I've got to talk to you and try to see where this may end up going. And
There
so
you
I think
go.
this is a great first step for us, at least in what we're doing, so that maybe we can get more exposure into your area. So it'll be
That
great.
is wonderful. I do want to mention one other thing.
Yeah.
I thought of what it was. On my website, there's a whole section on biophilic design.
Okay.
So there are articles, there are a couple of very short videos that are introductions, they're like 5 minutes each. And there's just a lot of information about why you might want to pay attention to this. It doesn't mean things are going to cost more, right? It's just
Right.
how you're going to create. Yeah,
Very good. Well, what I'll do at the end of this video here, because I'm going to have it now edited, I'll have your website information, your email address, your phone number,
perfect.
etc. So then that way people can easily reach out to you.
Great.
Thanks so much, Stacey. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.